Had a excuse me, we had a permitting system for people that wanted to search for wrecks, and that was part of the law, that 1967 law. And so in one case, had a group that was looking for the one Spanish ship that is sank El Salvador, is up in the Beaufort area, but they also learned that there was a couple other ships up there, and they were Blackbeard's, two of Blackbeard's vessels, two of four, that he lost coming into Beaufort in 1718. And one was Adventure and one was Queen Anne's Revenge. And so this group took out a permit on that too, to search for it, and they found a target, and so we obviously got involved immediately. Excuse me. We got involved immediately because it's the state wreck, I guess, is one of the most fantastic wrecks that's visible and interesting in the world. So I eventually that was my job, was to direct that project, and we did a lot of work in the first 3 years, making sure the identity and what were the conditions, and was it falling apart, was it conserved, and eventually felt like it was in a threatened position and needed to be recovered. So for 15 years I ran the excavations, and that was fantastic. The publicity and interest was worldwide, and we had a great crew and great time. And so that sort of ended my career. I did the last few years take over the whole underwater directorship and handled that. One of the crowning achievements was, this was in 2012, 150th anniversary of the Civil War and the 50th anniversary of the founding of the blockade runner Modern Greece. And that's really where the inception of the underwater program was, the discovery of it in 1962. It was excavated for several years by the Navy and the Department, and they realized that all this waterlogged, salt-impregnated artifacts needed serious conservation. This was early on, and you had people recovering it, and then just within days, these things fall apart. So that's how the program started, as a conservation lab. And so we recognized that in 2012, got a highway marker and had a nice symposium, and then I retired, and that was a good run of 35 years. Yeah.
Awesome. So, what stands out the most about your experience with Queen Anne's Revenge? What are some of your favorite memories about what you uncovered?
Queen Anne's Revenge wreckage is, it's visible. It's in about 25 feet of water, just about a mile off of Fort Macon, up in in the Beaufort area. It's beautiful. It's offshore. Most of my work had been in rivers and muddy lakes and typical North Carolina waters. So it was a great place to work. We had a good team. We worked out of the Coast Guard station, which was just right around the corner. Marine Fisheries loaned us a motorized barge that they used to scatter oyster shells with big pumps, and that was its main job. But for 6 to 8 weeks, we got that vessel 50 feet long. We could get all our gear on there. We could run dredges to sift every bit of sand that we brought up and find down to microscopic gold flecks that had been dropped in transactions on board. And so there was cannons and anchors you could see on it. It was a really special site. So we spent, as I said, 15 years excavating in my career. And at first, it was a lot of diagnostics, recording artifacts, seeing what we had and what we were up against. And then when we made a decision to recover it, it was very intense. As I said, we went out for 6 to 8 weeks in the fall. Sometimes the hurricanes blew us out, but that was the best time to get good visibility, and it was more protected behind the Cape. And we just went 5 foot square by 5 foot square from offshore end, and recovered cannons, anchors. Generally, we limited the number of cannon because there was 30 that we identified, and we didn't have room in the conservation lab, so we parked a lot of them. But we always, every year, would bring one cannon up, one beautiful cannon or an anchor, and the interest in that event would go literally all over. I mean, in first years it was U.S. and then Europe, and then it would get to Australia and then China, and just there's such a fascination with pirates, and particularly this guy. And so that was one of the most amazing things with this whole project was the public interest and the excitement. And so we did, when we brought these cannons up, we would have a fresh catch. We would have it out on display, and the cannons they have oyster shells and all kinds of marine growth, and that would be popping and stinking, and I don't know, I think a lot of people had visions of we bring these up and they're all cleaned off and maybe there's a mermaid leaning on it, or but these are stinking, really difficult artifacts to treat, to get the corrosion off and the shells off, to understand what it is, and then even more time to get it stable so you can put it in a museum. I mean, the cannon takes 5 years of work in the lab, and it's generally known that underwater archaeology, you have these expeditions, a lot of money, expense with equipment and getting out there, but that's only 1/10 of the cost of the project. The 9/10 of it is in the laboratory, hiring people and getting these things stable. So it was a way to tell people, educate people about the cost of it, what we were facing. It wasn't just real simple chests of coins and gold that you didn't have to do anything with. We also did some live dive education out there again, so we could have school groups come and talk to the divers on the bottom and ask questions. What's that big fish next to your head? Different things. So that was special. We did have, for a while, when the wreck was exposed, we had dive groups that would, you could pay $500, and it was 2 days diving. It was all these experts with a geologist, a historian, educational program that wasn't so much a money raiser. It wasn't a money raiser. It was just an educational program, and it ended up with these divers that were able to do it, to go take a tour of it. And so again, it was outreach, trying to give access, make them understand that the complexity of an archaeological site, and especially in the ocean. And finally, after I retired, I did write a nice book that with my colleague Linda Carnes-McNaughton, and we're proud of that. And it really tells the story and I think in a readable way. It's not a textbook. It's written to let people know, sort of draw people in because of the name, but then you can really tell them about underwater archaeology and all that entails.